I wanted to talk about the actual NBA 2K18 game. The good news is here on the Switch version of 2K18. It looks like we're going to be getting all of the same features that the other versions of the games get, and that's actually very good news because a lot of times when we get these ports or we get these third-party games coming to Switch, they always like to either mess with us, give us less features, etc., so we don't get the same experience that we're getting on other consoles. So it is great that we are getting pretty much the same experience. Granted, of course, graphics won't be the same compared to other consoles, but it's still great. At least we're getting all the features. If you may or may not know, we are also getting FIFA on Switch, and FIFA on Switch is actually losing modes. I think they chopped off the story mode. I could be wrong about that, but I know for a factor they did chop off one mode, and that's pretty disappointing considering that some people only have a Switch or only buy Nintendo products, and it's a shame that they are cutting off modes, but it's good news that on 2K18 they're not cutting off modes. And it looks like the only downside to this is that the game's going to be 30 frames per second, but 30 frames per second doesn't always necessarily mean bad. If you look at Breath of the Wild pretty much plays at 30 frames per second. There's some dips from here and there, but for the most part it plays at 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second I think is still well and good enough, especially if you're playing these games. I think 30 frames per second is going to be enough. Sure, should we get 60 frames per second support? Yeah, I think we should get 60 frames per second support. Of course, the more buttery smooth it is, the better experience we're going to have, but 30 frames per second is still enough. That doesn't really bother me, and considering that this thing is going to be the full-blown 2K18 on the go, is going to be absolutely amazing. I think this is the first time we've actually had a full-fledged basketball game on the go. Granted, the PSP did get a lot of NBA Live games. It got NBA Live 06, 07, 08, 09, etc. So it did get actually the PSP did get a lot of sports games, and then moving to the Vita and moving to the 3DS, they barely got any sports games. So it is nice that we are getting sports games, and it looks like it's going to be the full-blown experience, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to have online, it's going to have everything, the story mode, the customization, everything's going to be there. I think there is one little thing that's going to be chopped off. You can't customize your sneakers or your emblem on your shirt or something like that. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I've been hearing from other sources and things like that. But that's not really too big of a deal if you can't like customize your shoes or put a emblem on your shirt, because we're getting the full-blown experience on the go. You have to remember again, NBA 2K18 is going to be able to be played in your hands, the full game, which is absolutely amazing considering the Vita and the 3DS, even the PSP didn't even have the same graphical capabilities, nor did they get a lot of sports games. So this is cool that you can play 2K18 on the TV and 2K18 on the go. And of course, when you play 2K18 on the go, it's going to have amazing graphics, yes, because playing it on 720p in handheld mode on like a 6.3, 6.4 inch tablet looking thing is going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be awesome taking this game on the go and getting your hoops on. So if you're a big sports fan or if you're a big basketball fan, this is absolutely good news. Anyway, guys, peace out. I'll see you guys later in my next video. I'm out, guys. Let's talk about NBA 2K18 Nintendo Switch version for a little bit here. I want to talk about my thoughts on NBA 2K18. Now, NBA 2K18 is coming out for the Nintendo Switch. It's coming out sometime this month in September. I want to say that game is coming out sometime around September the 15th. Now, I could be wrong about that, but nevertheless, it is coming out sometime in September. And the thing about this game, it's kind of weirder than the rest of the Switch games. Why is it weirder than the rest of the Switch games? Well, for one is it's not coming out as a physical game. The physical game's coming out a month later, which is kind of weird. I don't know why 2K is delaying the physical game for NBA 2K18. So if you want the physical version, you're going to have to wait a month. Unfortunately, it's coming out sometime in October, which is really weird. Don't know the reasoning behind that. So you're stuck with the you are stuck with the digital version of 2K18 if you want to get it on day one. The other problem is it is confirmed that it is going to be bigger than the actual Switch's memory. I think once you unpack your Switch, you get around 25 gig, I want to say, somewhere around there, and this game is bigger than that, so you are forced to buy a memory card for your Switch. I know there was that one rumor a long time ago before Lego City Undercover actually came out that it said even with the physical game, you would still need a memory card because the game was too big. But of course, that was not true at all. It ended up being that you didn't need a memory card for Lego City Undercover. But it looks like for NBA 2K18, you're going to need a memory card. I don't know if you'll need the memory card when the actual physical version comes out to the market, but I do know with it coming out on day one, there's only going to be a digital release day one, and it's going to be over the amount of the Nintendo Switch's hardware. Anyway, also, if you're thinking about picking up a memory card for the Nintendo Switch, you're probably going to want to pick up a really big one. I mean, maybe this is your first digital game, and maybe you're thinking about picking up NBA 2K18 on day one, but trust me, there's a lot of already great indie games on Nintendo Switch, and even some more upcoming Nintendo Switch games, and there may be that occasional digital game you may want to pick up for other reasons as well. So it is nice to have a pretty big memory card. I would say at least pick up 64 or above. Actually, when it comes to micro SD cards, for the most part, memory's not that expensive and it's not that bad. I'm actually glad Nintendo decided to go the micro SD card route instead of making their own proprietary, but Nintendo's never known for making their own proprietary memory cards, whether that be on the DSi, any variants of the 3DS, and now the Nintendo Switch. I do have to respect them for that, because as we all know, Sony likes to mess with the consumers when it comes to their handhelds, whether it be the Vita and the PSP. You had to use the proprietary memory card Sony actually made, and it was a pain. Why was it a pain? Not because it wasn't hard to find, because, well, it was actually very, very inconvenient to go out and buy one of those things because it was so expensive. I know for a factor I've owned a Vita, and the Vita memory card was easily around $99 for 64 gig, which is absolutely nuts considering a 64 gig memory card on micro SD is pretty cheap. It's way under even $50, sometimes even under $30. It is very, very inexpensive if you're going micro SD card. So I do have to respect Nintendo for that. I just wanted to let you know, guys, that NBA 2K18 is only going to be coming out this month as a digital release. So if you want it day one, unfortunately it's going to be a digital release, and you're going to have to buy a memory card confirmed. You can't just buy the digital one and put it on the internal memory of the Switch because it won't fit. Honestly, I don't know why Nintendo always likes making their last two previous consoles with not enough storage. I will have to say though, with the 3DS line, when you get like a 3DS XL, you do get a 4 gig memory card, and what I do have to say about the 4 gig memory card is that's plenty of storage if you want to buy indie games, virtual console games, and things like that. But with actual big console games coming out like on the Wii U and the Switch, 32 gig was just not enough in my opinion for either system. I don't know why Nintendo keeps thinking that 32 gig is enough. I wish they would have made a couple of variants of the Nintendo Switch with more memory, stock memory. Of course, you can always argue, why even complain about it when you can buy a micro SD card, and that is true. You can go out there and buy a micro SD card, so that does solve the problem. So make sure if you're buying 2K18 on day one, you're gonna have to buy the digital version, and you're gonna have to buy a memory card right out of the gate. And I suggest you buy over at least 64 gig or above, just in case in the future you want to download indie games. And remember, there's gonna be updates to a lot of these games too, and you might want a little bit bigger memory card once the updates start rolling out.